Welcome to Fox Encounter. I am your host, Fox. Please consider taking a few seconds to subscribe, drop a like on the video, and share it with your friends. Stay tuned for more content and enjoy the episode.
And now, suspense.
Horror fans are so interesting to me because,
Why?
Because a weird cult-like thing about even if something sucks, and I've always had that notion, but I really saw it with the new Halloweens, where even if something is bad and not even arguably bad, it's just bad. Let's just call it what it is. They'll still champion for it and no, you just aren't getting it, or it's not that bad. And it's so weird. I see that all the time with horror franchises. No matter how bad it is, there's always going to be people who are like, no, just give it a chance. Just give it a chance. Or they'll lie to themselves to say it's not bad.
I mean, I guess some people. I mean, there were some people who probably feel the same way about Dawn of Justice. It's on your shirt. I feel like, although that's actually a masterpiece, though. So I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. But with horror, it happens a lot because horror is one of the weird genres where if something is bad, people like it because maybe it is bad or something or it's goofy unintentionally, and that's what makes it fun. But horror is a weird genre like that.
That's why it's always been weird to me, because I am an outsider looking in, and a lot of the horror movies that people say suck, I'll watch, and I'm like, I like this because it's dumb and it's fun to watch. And a lot of the possession movies I think are great. Not in the sense that they're great writing and acting and all that. It's just I have so much fun with them. Like that Pray for the Devil movie. So many people shit on that movie, and I was like, "This is such fun!" Wait,
Oh no, I'm thinking of a different one. I was thinking of the one where Russell Crowe is
that one too. The Pope's Exorcist. I love that movie.
Do you have Russell Crowe? You got out of shape Russell Crowe.
Dude, he's straight up
Spanish or something. He's supposed to be a Spaniard, right?
He just straight up is roasting these fucking demons, and I loved it. I was like, oh my god, this is hilarious. I love it. Because that's the thing is, I want to have fun, because here's the thing about me with horror is when people ask me why don't you like horror, is because I don't get scared at all. I'm not someone who gets scared of anything. I'm literally just not afraid of anything. It's weird. I wish I was. I mentioned that in one of my videos. I wish I was scared of stuff. I'm just not. That was the reason why I don't like horror movies, because they don't scare me, so I get bored. But when they're just goofy and stupid, like The Pope's Exorcist, I have so much fun with it, and I really dig it, because I'm this is so fun to watch.
I love horror because it's a very fun, versatile genre. That's why I like it so much. But then also just I like being scared.
Yeah, but what I find so funny, and this is probably going to be a really controversial thing, but that's what I'm known for. To be honest with you, if you look at the grand scheme and the history of film and everything, horror doesn't really have that many classics when you really think about it. And it's always this, and I find this true because anytime somebody makes a list of the greatest horror movies, it's literally the same 10 movies on everybody's list. Yeah.
Halloween's on there.
Halloween, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Exorcist, which I love. I love The Exorcist, but it's always on the list. And that made
What about the Universal?
The movies? Universal monster movies.
Those are classic ones.
Yeah, but those don't get a whole lot of mention though in in the
grand scheme.
Horror. Yeah,
which is weird because they were pretty influential early on. Dracula.
Oh hell yeah, for sure.
It's just they never really took off after the 30s and 40s.
And even when they try to reboot it, it never worked. The people just aren't interested. So that's the thing. That's kind of weird, is that if it doesn't stay relevant with stuff, people just don't care. And that's one of the things that I've always found so interesting about the horror genre in general, is there's not a whole lot of championships in that genre when you think about it. Yeah, because everyone's always top 5 greatest horror movies. Literally the same list. I could watch 100 videos on people's top 10 horror movies, and 99% of them will have the same ones on the list.
Oh yeah, Halloween's gonna be there. One of the Friday 13th, the first Nightmare on Elm Street.
Scream's gonna be on there.
Scream. I think Psycho will be on there. Probably the oldest they'll go is Psycho.
Yeah,
Psycho was a good movie though, but come on. I know what you mean. I think because with horror, it's so hard to nail. I think because you said, something that might come across as something that would come across as scary on paper comes across as just goofy as shit on screen. like The Shining. Like, there's a reason the movie is so different from the book, because a lot of shit in the book is it seems interesting on paper, but on screen, it's so goofy as. A lot of Stephen King shit is actually just goofy.
Oh yeah.
Once you think about it, like instead of having an axe, his weapon of choice was a stupid like croquet mallet or whatever else it's called. That's stupid as. Like, I guess on paper it would. The way it's described seems more interesting, but then when you watch it, you're kind of like that, because they did a '90s Shining mini series that Stephen King co-wrote that adapted his book basically the same, and it had a lot of the same stuff in it, and it just sucked.
Did it have the croquet mallet?
Had the croquet mallet. It had a garden hose with pointy, sharp teeth too. That's in the book. But yeah, it's like, I think that's why horror is so hard to do. Just people, that's why I think that's why a lot of like the classics are still in the same list, like Halloween stuff, because it's one of the few exceptions where it was done well. It was done right, and then you have imitators afterwards. I mean, I guess you could say that about any genre, because think about fantasy. What are the only good fantasy movies? What, Lord of the Rings? Lord of the Rings. I can't think of any other actual genuine fantasy movies that are that good. There isn't really. A lot of imitators, though.
Oh, yeah. Especially in sci-fi, too. And sci-fi is like my favorite genre, but I'll be the first to admit that. Like, there really are a whole lot of like classics. There's a whole bunch that I think are better than most classics, but that's just me. You know what I mean? Like, I could name like a ton of sci-fi movies that I think are better than 2001: A Space Odyssey, or even like Alien or something like that. But those aren't going to get enough praise, because all we ever want to talk about when it comes to any genre are those like main ones that everybody knows.
Blade Runner, I guess.
Yeah, like the ones that you don't even need to watch and you could know everything about them because they're talked about so much. Like me personally, I've talked about this all the time. I hate Blade Runner. I did not like Blade Runner. I hate it.
I didn't know that.
I hate every cut of that movie. I've seen like that movie has like 6 different cuts. If a movie has 6 different cuts, I don't think it should be called a classic. It should not. Not that many cuts of a movie should be made. Like, it should only be 1 or maybe 2, but never 6. Like, why?
To be fair, Ridley Scott was only involved in like 2 of them.
Yeah.
And then you got the TV version that was it was such a weird situation, and like a decade to sort out.
In film school, I watched that one and like dissected it and did a whole like thing on it, and I was like, I hate this movie. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't get. I understand why it's a classic and why it's so revolutionary for the time, but like I just found it so boring. And I think what Denis Villeneuve did with Blade Runner 2049 was far superior. Like I I love Blade Runner 2049. Hate Blade Runner.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
And Denis Villeneuve makes some pretty good stuff. I mean, Dune was pretty good. I mean, I think we talked about Dune before. It was just a whole lot of setup was the issue. Because they took one book, they split it into half, and so it's a whole thing. And so you really have half the story.
Yeah, I hope it gets more interesting. I mean, it looks great. I don't know if it got pushed back because of the whole like actor writer thing. So that's put a pause on a lot of things. I don't like to call people out on it, but like I've seen a lot of people too when it first started, and they were like, "Why are they striking? They're making millions of dollars and blah blah blah." And I want my Batman 2 and I want my Dune movie, like get back to work. And it's like, bro, like that's another reason why I hate film lovers, like, or people that claim to love movies. Like, you're part of the problem. You're part of the reason why these people are on strike. About their favorite TV shows not being on because of the writer's strike. And I'm like, bro, if you truly say you love film and TV and all that, and you don't support the writers and actor strike, then you really don't love film. Like, you really don't.
I will say this. I said this on live stream. I actually did look into like what they demand, and it is kind of wild, like how little input the writers do have. Because a lot of time they are just hired. They have a set schedule of like 2 or 3 weeks. It's like, here, you guys are going to write these batch of episodes, and when you're done, we're done with you. And that's as far as it goes, which explains why a lot of the product does kind of suck, because you're given 2 weeks to write something. Although when it comes to actual showrunners, them I'm more critical of. Like, the people who actually are in charge of the show, who are the executive producer, they direct the several episodes, and they are the head writer, them I'm more critical of. But when it comes to like the common writers who are just hired in, then kicked out 3 weeks later, them I do feel sorry for.
Yeah. Especially like a lot of these writers and stuff, like they're the ones that are writing the big shows that are making all of this money, and they're getting paid like dog for it. Like, obviously, the guy who wrote like the Idol with the Weeknd and stuff. That guy can burn in hell, but
That
like
shit's
those
so
people,
funny.
like those people can like like those people suck. But like when you got the writers from The Last of Us who wrote that show and like it got huge and everything like that, and they're not getting paid properly. It's like, come on now.
Yeah, it's like when the actual like head guy sucks. Sometimes it's not the underling's fault, but like a lot of the people who are involved in the strikes are like a lot of people who they did work on big projects, but they're not the top guy.